where you are corporately. I don't really care what corporate home you're in. I really care about working with you because I know that you have the expertise that I need.
Exactly. And you know, to give you a little background on this metallocene also is that one of the companies that has pioneered in this outside of these petrochemical companies was a company called Catalytica out in California.
Okay.
And they were Catalytica was part of the, you know, Sud Chemie and Catalytica. They had a venture, and you know, and they are one of the people who pioneered in quite of these metallocene catalysts. But they never got around to manufacturing it because they didn't have the proper partner to do manufacturing, and so they eventually sold the business, and then that's how I got involved into the metallocene, because the company which I was working with was Nockway was the one who bought over the business and, you know, went on. So that's my introduction into metallocenes in 2003. And
so when that happened, I'm curious, was it a question of somebody like Norquay that had manufacturing capacity that was looking for some interesting chemistry to run on their capacity? I mean, there's a lot of different ways that could come together, and I'm just curious kind of how it happened.
It did that, you know, it turned out that Norquay was also to some extent interested in metallocenes, okay, in the early 80s. Because of its association with other companies who were also interested in manufacturing metallocenes, and so Nockway had the ability to produce some of these things because they had most of them are batch processes, and so they needed somebody who had the pots and pans and who had the availability of equipment to spare. You know, and do some of the and many a time they had to be able to do some of the R&D as well, and so Nockway fitted that bill quite well, and so they did what they did, and then, like I said, in 2005 they decided to get out of the metallocene business and just sold it away to W.I. Grace, which is a known information. And then they contracted with Grace, and that's how I got involved in being the liaison between Nockway and Grace. And my job was basically to manage the R&D, manage the procurement of raw materials, schedule the so-called manufacturing and producing the metallocenes, and making sure the metallocenes were of quality and within a time frame and supplied to the customer. So I had a whole.
Sounds like in a lot of ways you were just doing the same job, sort of with slightly different corporate owners and with slightly different owners of the process. You were still responsible for a lot of the same pieces. It sounds like, yeah.
Yeah. But, and like I said, so you're the jack of all trades, master of none.
Yep.
So to speak.
Yeah.
But
in a case like that, this is my understanding of the market. I want to test this to see if it's right. So somebody like an Exxon or a Grace, depending on what it is, really is the one that comes up with the innovative chemistry for the most part. That is, hey, here's the specific molecule that we can do something interesting with. And then they go to a contract manufacturer or a contract manufacturer with some synthesis capabilities and said, hey, guys, can you guys fabricate this stuff at scale for us? And there's a relatively small set of people that be able to do that. But the innovation from a chemistry perspective is primarily getting done at I'll call it the OEM level. The innovation that's getting done in the manufacturing and the process stuff is maybe getting in at the contract manufacturer where they're figuring out a slightly better recipe for synthesis of some particular molecule. Do I have that about right in terms of how it works?
I think your interpretation is perfect, because it's like, if you just extrapolate this to the pharmaceutical, you have the discovery people and the process people.
Yeah.
So the discovery people just are able to discover the product and say, okay, this product can be made. And it's up to the process people to figure out how to make it, commercially, and how to make money out of it.
Right.
The same thing happens here.
So what drives a Grace? What drives a Grace to have a supply chain that looks like this, as opposed to simply vertically integrating, buying up the fab capability if anything gets to any significant scale, and taking the contract manufacturing